going, YouTube? I just got finished with the gym, took a shower, and opened up a Diet Coke actually. So now I'm here thinking about what video to make. And for today and the next few videos before the actual league announcement, I'm going to be not doing league starter videos and doing more generic knowledge for PoE. Today I wanted to talk about how do you actually find out what the best money making strategy in PoE is for the new league. Like, even though we don't know what the new league is, there's some method behind finding out what will always be good in PoE for money making. And this is kind of like the story of if you teach a man or woman how to fish. Like, if you just give them a fish, then they will always ask you again, what is the next best method? But if you teach them to figure out how to fish the fish, then they'll be set for a lifetime. So what I'm trying to do here is help you guys be set for the new league and being able to find out yourself what the best money-making method, and I'm going to break it down into 4 different segments because those are 4 things that you should look at for if you have a method for figuring out if it will be really profitable and how long it will actually be profitable for. And I just wanted to give a quick update on this character. I didn't really play any PoE today and I didn't stream. I was too busy watching some sports matches. The character, I will try to do it tomorrow live on stream, a 5 linked feared on gear that's around like 10x. I'll buy another Nebulous so that people can't say that I'm using a 20-30x Nebulous. So that should be fun to do. And I didn't want to make any more league starter videos because a lot of the other classes are honestly so mediocre and so fleshed out that without the patch notes, it would just be like making another video for something that already has a pretty good guide. Like, if you want to play Ranger, for instance, of course you're going to play Toxic Rain. I looked into a bunch of builds and they're not really that viable. Elementalist, you have Spellslinger, Flame Wall, Armageddon Brand, Cremation, Templar. You can play like Freezing Pulse, Totems, or I don't even know, Bladefall, Blade Blast is still an option. Shadow is probably going to be Assassin, Bladefall, Blade Blast. Marauder is, I don't even know, probably some Slam build, honestly, and so is Duelist. Duelist, you can play Gladiator, Exsanguinate. And without some new patch note knowledge, and hopefully it is very likely that the new skills will probably be the best for leveling if they overtune the numbers on it. Numbers are everything, and it can make a skill be a lot better. So they just need to give us some really good numbers on the new skills, and we'll be set and have a new diverse leveling experience. So let's get straight into the money making method and how you can find your own best money making method in PoE. So I wrote down here the 4 different ones. So you can see that finding the best way to make money in Path of Exile is time/gear investment is number 1. I'm going to talk about this in relation to the money making methods that I think are universally panned before as the best money making methods in the game outside of crafting, which is Delve, Deep Delve, and this was before. Now it's not really that profitable, and I'll go into why later on based on these 4 metrics. And multi-box feared farming, which is the method I came up with to help pretty much get multi-boxing nerfed, which is a good thing, right? Because a lot of the beast multi-boxing was happening, and that actually got nerfed because of the fear multi-boxing, partially because of the whole outrage of how unfair multi-boxing was. So number 1 is time/gear investment. So you have to think for your money making strategy, how much time does it take to get to be able to start the strategy up, and how much gear do you actually need to do the strategy? So say you're doing like Shaper invitations, it takes a while to get your Atlas progressed enough to get Shaper maps. It takes a while to get the gear reliably needed to kill Shaper invitations, because it's pretty much a DPS and EHP check. And that's just something you need to take into account for the money making method. And the longer it will take for someone else to do it, the more money it will make, because you are the only one who is able to do it. So for instance, in Ritual League, we figured out that Legion was really, really powerful at the league start because of the new Vestir nodes. And back then, Legion was actually the last thing on the map device. So because it required you to have like 140 bonus objective, that means that not many people actually had the Zana craft for the map. So you pretty much just put in 5 Chaos and then you got Legion on the map device, and then you're able to put Legion on every single map. And that in conjunction with a Legion Scarab was super good for money making. But that is a huge time investment at the start, because if you're able to get to it first, then you will be the only one doing the Legion farming. So how long it actually takes to get to the strategy and the gear required is a huge factor. The more gear and more time required, the better the money making strategy will be, because people can't copy it as easily. So that's why it's so important at the league start. Like, a lot of people always ask me, like, how do you make money at the league start? The number one thing I can tell you is take time off work and get a really long night of sleep, and also drink a lot of coffee, because staying up will be the biggest thing. You'll be able to put in the time investment, you'll have the gear investment, and then you'll be able to do the best money making method in the game, whatever it may be. It could be something on the map device, if Delirium came back in the map device. And for instance, like Delve, right? For Delve, the gear investment is insane for Delve compared to most other things in the game. You have to play a ZHB build with min-max setup, with trying to get like min-max damage so you can actually clear the nodes. The time investment for Delve is just ridiculous. Getting to 6k is almost like a month-long affair for most people. I know like some people like Cassie can do it, and even they who have done Delve multiple times still take like 1 to 2 weeks minimum. So that, for Delve, you can see how time and gear investment is a reason why it's such a good money-making method back in the days. And then for the feared multi-boxing, you need insane gear to be able to carry 6-man Cortexes and 6-man Uber Elders. And it also takes a lot of time to be able to level up like 5 alt accounts. And that's just something that some people don't want to do. Which leads me into the next one, which is how fun is it to do? In the end, we are playing a game, right? And people do want to not treat this solely as a job. Although some people do treat this game as a job, but that's for another story. So people want to have fun when they play the game, and how fun the money making method to do is a huge factor in how good the money making method will be and how long it will be good for. So something that's really fun to do, other people want to do it. So like for bossing, for instance, a lot of people like bossing. They consider it like the end game. So any bossing money making method will generally be pretty bad. And this is pretty much something that you could probably see on poeprofit.com. On poeprofit.com, you can see that if you look at all the bossing, so let's go look at this thing, poeprofit.com. So you can see here, this is a very good example of how fun something is. So waiting for item price data. So is this site just broken? Okay, this site is broken, but if you can see the site right here, Shaper is the only boss that makes money. And why is that? Because Shaper is not a fun boss to do. It takes way too long. It has a lot of immunity phases, and you also have to kill 4 mini bosses before you can even fight Shaper. And then you have to run through 2 zones. But Shaper is by far the most profitable because you need the fragments for Uber Elder, which factors into the next one that I will be talking about. And in relation to Delve and feared multi-boxing, those two things are incredibly not fun to do for most people. Many people do not enjoy doing Delve and dying on ZHP builds thousands of times in order to get to 6k depth. Although some people do, and they're masochists, or is this sadistic? I think it's masochist. Not too sure, but... And then for feared multi-boxing, not many people want to level up that many accounts. Not many people want to have a virtual workstation and have 2 other computers and click the people in at the right time. So that part is not really fun to do. And then you also have beast multi-boxing, which is the exact same thing. Like nowadays, beast multi-boxing doesn't even really exist, so people have to drag the beast to the front of the map and then manually move their party members into the map. So fun is a huge thing. And then what's another one that's really unfun to do? People don't enjoy picking up loot, right? So that's why like Valdo's Harbinger is kind of fun. Or it's kind of not fun, but at the same time it's also fun because people like doing the Harbinger maps and getting a bunch of headhunter buffs. So for instance, like people don't like picking up all the loot from the Delirium maps, and that's pretty much why like the Delirium maps are not really that profitable, is because people don't like picking all the fragments and all the splinters. And then it's also not very fun buying the inputs for the Delirium orbs. But basically, this thing factors in like how fun something is to do. The more fun that something is to do, the worse the money making method will be in the long run, because that means that people will want to do it, and the more people that do it means that more of the outputs will be produced. And if something's not fun to do and you're the only one who likes doing it, then you have a gold mine of a money making strategy. So if you're like one of the sadistic people who like to die 1,000 times doing deep delve, or you're one of the people who like multi-boxing, then you're going to make a lot of money from your method, and it will probably be a method that will stay around for a long time and have good longevity to it. Next, we have something called outputs of the method. And the outputs of your money-making method is really, really important, because if it's an output that gets spammed too much and that it just floods the market, it will crash the price. So I don't know if you could actually see like PoE Ninja of what happened to Bottle Faith. Is it called PoE Antiquary? I don't know what this is. So this site actually tracks the prices of items in different leagues. So for now, we're going to go look at the story of this wonderful flask called the Bottle Faith. So this is a flask that has very low outputs because Cortex maps does not drop that much, and it's pretty rare to get it on Zana. But because of the Fear multi-boxing, this item went for 11 to 12x in price. And then somewhere around there, Path of Math released a video of the Fear multi-boxing method that we came out with. And it slowly started its steady decline. As more and more people got the gear investment to do it, you can see that it dropped more and more in price until it became a 1.5x item. And that's just crazy, because if you look at other leagues, this item is one of the most expensive items in the game. And let's see if we can actually see the price of this. So you can see here, this item actually goes up in price rather than go down in price like this. So this is literally an opposite graph of what happens. So this is a huge thing on the output of your method. So for the feared, for instance, a lot of the uniques from the bosses related to the feared bosses like Uber, Ziri, Bottle, Cortex became completely worthless. So the method became less and less profitable over time. You could also see this through doing heist, when people were doing the blueprints and just generating a bunch of exalts. But exalts are usually a pretty like liquid currency, since it's literally just raw currency, right? It's what people want. But the buying power of exalts became less and less, and the exalt to chaos ratio, I think even at one point went down to like 20 chaos, right? So that's something to deal with the outputs and how much someone actually needs it. So if your method generates something that once it gets flooded too much, it's not really worth that much, then it's not going to be good. But if your method, for instance, like back in Deep Delve, like fracture fossils is something that would just be used infinitely, because people can just run more and more delirium maps for money. And then the same with like, what's it called, bloodstain fossils, since that's pretty much just free divine orbs. So you can see the outputs of the method determines a lot for the longevity of how long your money making method will be good for. So like Bottle Faith is like a good example here, because Bottle Faith is a flask that most people need, right? But there's only so many people playing the game at one time, and especially as the league tapers down, there'll be less and less demand for it. You can see how that pretty much just crashed the money making method, so that feared multi-boxing became less and less profitable. So it went from probably like a mere a day to like what, like 4 or 5x per hour. I'm not really sure what it became, but I think that's just a pretty good example for illustrating of why that method tanked so much, while Deep Delve was so consistent for so many leagues throughout the whole course of the league. And lastly, we have the most important one of them all, which is knowledge. Now, knowledge is everything, and this is how the best money-making methods in the game are all knowledge-based, I think. And how many people know about the money-making method is huge, right? Because, for instance, the Fear multi-boxing, the flash price was actually pretty stable in Ritual League until like someone made the video and spoiled the secret to everyone. And then everyone knew about it, so then the prices became lower and lower. Now the same can be said for winged scarabs. Now winged scarabs were really expensive because of this node here. Up to 5. Before this was like, it possessed like 20 rare mobs, and then you could get the elevated sextant where the first monster you touch drops a winged scarab, the first possessed monster. So you just put in a map, and then you could dupe the watchstone over and over again. So once people caught wind about that, the price of winged scarabs completely tanked to like even less than gilded scarabs at one point. But that just shows you that knowledge is pretty much everything. So that's why it's good to follow like content creators and try to pick up the knowledge beforehand. And then if you could ever come up with like a good idea by yourself, you don't need to like share it to the world, right? Like I know I'm in a different position because I'm streaming, I'm trying to make some videos. But say like you weren't like trying to make videos, like keeping something a secret, as soon as you post it on Reddit or something, like you might want to share it. But as soon as you post it on Reddit, like a crafting method, it will get flooded. Like, it's just the thing. Like, stuff that's easily replicable, like crafting, as long as you have the capital, then it's just going to be completely flooded until the profit margin of your money making method becomes break even almost. I mean, I can give you some examples. Like, for instance, in the past leagues with Harvest, before people figured out with tags and how you can use meta mods of tags to make boots. So before you can have like a Tailwind boot, and then you could craft on suffixes cannot be changed and reforge crit to get Tailwind elusive boots, and then you could be guaranteed like move speed on it or something like that. Then people would be able to make Tailwind elusive boots for a lot of money, and not many people knew about it. But then one person we told knew about it, and then he started making the boots too. And then he started undercutting the boots on an alternate account that I knew he was on an alternate account. So he started undercutting the boots lower and lower. And then the boots became from like 20x profit per pair down to like 5 exalts, and then eventually to like 1 to 2 exalts, because it just became a war of trying to undercut each other. So, and then this also goes into the fact that there's a lot of items, like high-end items in this game, that people don't really know how to make. Like, some people see like someone's like elemental hit bow, and then they're like, wow, how do I even make that item? There's a lot of good like guides out there on how to make items. So if you're into crafting, you should check that out. Get as much knowledge as you can about how to do it. And then, of course, there's always the exploits that people do. And this is also like having knowledge of exploits. That's why people always make the meme of exploit early and exploit often. And that's because it actually works until GGG bans you. But they're so inconsistent about how they ban it. But nowadays, especially with what happened with Empyrean, it does seem like exploits are more heavily punished. Although some stuff that's like a clever use of game mechanics, like the Watchstone imprinting, that stuff is like kind of a gray area. So some of the stuff, if you have the knowledge of, be careful with what you use it on. And yeah, so I'm going to give a quick summary now about what you can make with all this, and so how you can figure out your own best money making method in 3.15. So overall, what can we like glean from all this? And a lot of the thing is knowledge is always going to be the #1 thing. So in the new league, look at the league mechanics, try to figure out something cool with the league mechanics, and then use that knowledge to be applied to try to come up with a strategy that you could use to try to make money. And then you could also try to look at something that has a lot of time and gear investment, and that's probably not too fun for some people to do, although this is like something kind of weird because you do want to do a method that's actually fun for you, as you are playing a game after all. And then you also have to think about the outputs of the method, see what you're getting out of it, and how much someone needs it. So if you look at this league, for instance, like knowledge could be like, you know how good the mirror inscribed ultimatums are because you have a really good item that you can copy, and you see how the mirror inscribed ultimatums are underpriced. And then for instance here, you have a really high gear investment too in order to do the mirror inscribed ultimatums. And then, is the method really fun to do? Yeah, it is fun, but a lot of people also shy away from it because a lot of people are risk averse. And then what are the outputs of the method? The outputs of the method are a mirrored worthy item for a lot lower cost than a mirror. So there you have it. You have the perfect money making strategy, and that's pretty much what some people like Crouching Tuna did, and they pretty much just spam mirror ultimatums like crazy. Another method he did was with the Valdo Harbingers. And that one was, how fun is it to do? It's probably not that fun to pick up all the loot, but if you like picking up all the loot and selling all the small items, then you'll make a lot of money. The outputs of the method are pretty much just raw currency drops and scarabs and stuff like that, so it's going to be very good. And knowledge, you have to know the knowledge of how to block sextants. You need to know the knowledge of how Wing Harbinger scarabs interact with King Harbingers. And yeah, so I know that this is not like a video with like a specific strategy in mind for the new league, as it's pretty hard to say what it is without the patch notes, but I hope that this video, if you just look at a money making strategy you currently have and you look at it and frame it within these 4 terms, you'll be able to come up with your own method or try to even tweak someone else's method to make it even more profitable for yourself.
When I'm ready,
but one money making tip I could have for you in the new league, regardless of what happens, is do the chaos recipe with the tool, the chaos recipe enhancers. I'll put the link for the tool video I have for the chaos recipe enhancer in the description below, because let's just say you have some chaos in the beginning. You can buy an item that you know in a couple hours will be worth like 2 or 3 times more, and you can only have the buying power because you did a few chaos recipes, and that could be what you need to get a great start for the league. Or you can buy an item that gives you a lot of power to your build, and it takes no time. You just dump the items into a tab, and then the tool will show you or highlight what to click, and you just sell it to the vendor, and voila, here comes 2 chaos when your net worth is only like 6 chaos and some random currency. But if you like the content, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any videos you would like to see, let me know. And I will be streaming tomorrow. You can check out my Twitch stream and ask me any questions. But thanks for everyone, and I'll see you next time, and I hope you find more mirrors and exalts than I do.